get showcased.
Sure. On behalf of Showcase Pro Wrestling, that is a picture of Sergeant Muldoon, followed by the statement that we put on Sunday due to the events that happened this past Friday night in Taunton. Those who were there and those who read the statement, they were very concerned about two items. One was obviously the condition of Sergeant Muldoon. As you see right there, Sarge did get about 8 stitches from my hometown. He went to Brockton. He went to Good Samaritan. He's got about 8 stitches on the head, no concussions. I do thank Dr. Patel for taking care of that. On Sunday, on Mother's Day, I put that statement up regarding the status of Don Vega. Don Vega is no longer associated with Showcase Pro Wrestling. He is suspended, as I made out quite clear in Taunton, due to what he did to Sergeant Muldoon. And we'll get into Taunton, we'll get in what happened, we'll get into what happens with the match with Rambo. But that's a pretty strong statement. Ironically, once I went on Mother's Day, one of the first questions my mom had was, what happened? And I said, well, Donald, because that's what she knows Don as Donald, what did Donald do? And I told her she attacked, poor Sarge. She goes, Muldoon? She goes, why would anyone attack Paul Muldoon? So we'll get into that. The biggest problem that we have is Showcase Pro Wrestling is an individually owned LLC. It's owned by myself, no other owners, no owner stock. The other people that works on the booking committee, the chairmanship committee, is Sergeant Muldoon and John Senior. The problem with that is, it's our company, it's a separate entity. What people don't understand, when we started this about 1.5 years ago, the 1776 Studios is done by our co-host, Dan Badandi. That contract was signed by Don Vega and myself as two individuals underneath the 1776 Studios. So as much as I do not like Don Vega to be associated with Showcase Pro Wrestling in any straight manner regarding in the ring, outside the ring, training, or reflection of us, the show and the show content is a joint business venture that we both signed, that we're both obligated to sign. So that being said, Don Vega should be on the podcast, so hopefully we can get some involvement of his actions. But in regards to Showcase Pro Wrestling, the entity in pro wrestling, as in the training of wrestlers, Don was very instrumental in a lot of the talent that we have, a lot of the talent that's getting pushed to the next level, the national and on the indie scene. So he would not be associated of that. And as you saw with that document right there that was posted on social media, a lot of backlash. I didn't realize how many people do not like Don Vega. And they're concerned about the well-being of the staff, the wrestlers, and just overall concern regarding the reflection of what he did with Sergeant Muldoon.
Yeah, so you guys will be seeing Don Vega here. He is on
under contract with 1776 Productions as this podcast here. So even though he's no longer associated with Showcase, he is associated with this show. So he is still obligation and contractual, him as a co-host of the show here. So he's expected to join us pretty soon. But yeah, we would love to hear from him and his reactions, his thoughts of why he went after Sarge, why he did what he did. And I'm sure the audience will love to hear that. So.
Well, and I think that's the problem. When people don't understand, in business, you just cannot break contracts if you do not like somebody. You know, I'm sure a lot of people have places that they work that they don't like. If you're the owner, you can break contracts. Now, what we did on Friday night, I made a split decision after the attack, which and we'll get into if Donald, does connect. Again, part of the obligations being here at 9 o'clock every Thursday. Rain, shine, good weather, bad weather. So if he's not here, Danny, it's going to be exactly how I would want it. A lot of the stress throughout the week was talking over the attorneys, talking over to New Legacy Law Firm, if you want to pop their information up there. And this is why you have to have an attorney, breaking down what the law is, what the contract is. Contract law, it is what it is. It literally is in black and white. And so reaching out to them, I said as a talent, they go, as a talent, you can get rid of them all you want. But as a business obligation, it's a little bit different. So I do thank Legacy Law Firm right there for confirming what we can and can't do regarding contract law with the state of Rhode Island. And that's where we were founded. But yeah, if anyone needs any questions regarding law, do not take the law in your own hands. Always reach out to a professional, and that's what they're there for. They do great stuff with estate planning. They also do a lot of stuff now for just general law itself. So if you're not sure, reach out to them. Amanda and her staff, they're phenomenal. They would take every case that they can, based on what your needs are, and to make sure that they are the best representation that they can represent you. And that's, for anyone that deals in law, that's usually the first thing they're going to do. They just don't want you as a client. They want to make sure it's the right thing for you and that they can get the result. So thank you for Amanda for allowing us, Lily, to chew your ear off this week. And, being in business is stressful, but dealing with incidents like this is more stressful, because when you have to reach out to an attorney on Mother's Day, it's not a good day for anyone, to say the least. So with that being said, Don Vega could be here on the podcast, but he would not be at any live events with Showcase Pro Wrestling. Muldoon, we were going to have on the show today, but he's still recovering. We are hoping that he will be in Franklin on this Saturday night, which is about time of 7:07. That is at the Franklin Elk. This is 1077 Pond Street. That is for, because it's right there. Look at the poster, right? Who was on that poster before?
Oh, yeah, Don.
Don Vega was right in the middle. Right in the middle. So after I did that statement, I updated, reached out to the graphics department. We updated with, rightfully so, Sergeant Muldoon. So Sergeant Muldoon is a fine representation of Showcase for Wrestling. Right on the cover there for fundraiser for the Special Olympics. So Showcase Pro Wrestling and the Franklin Elks presents Pro Wrestling, with Benjamin's going to the Special Olympics of Massachusetts.
And I want to direct your attention here. We had a loss in the business, big one. Sabu died just a couple days ago. This Terry Sabu Brunk. And I've been working, but I've been on shows with him. He's an awesome man, and I think Donnie worked him. And
well, and that's one thing, people forget regarding the connections. And, this is the part that I like about Donald Vega, right? Up and down the indie scenes for 30 years. If you went through the WWF and you were running through the New England area in like 2000 to 2010, he wrestled. Donald Vega wrestled him. So I know we have Sabu stories. So I was hoping that we'd have some stories from him. Again, because he wrestled him. I know he has some great stories when him and some other New England guys wrestled them as a tag team. It's some good stories. So if he does connect, I mean, I think the stories said it was probably a nice way to derive from everything that Donald Vega could be spewing out. But that be if he's not connecting, that's more than fine, Danny. I am not crying right now. I was praying for a Don Vega free Thursday. The attorney again said that we couldn't remove him from it, but that's more than fine. So, Danny, do you want to get into Taunton, or do you want to get into the...
I'm trying to connect Don. What's going on here? There we go.
You don't have to, Danny. You don't have to.
Oh, hold on a second, Donnie. Let me fix this here.
Why don't you announce your one half of your signee is probably the way that I don't know if the right word we're going to use on it.
Yep, we got Don on now. You there, brother?
I'm cleaning out the tears out there. I'm holding back the tears from all the ironic talk that I just heard from Blackheart. And in true Blackheart fashion, he made it a sponsorship, the whole ordeal with the lawyers. So, we know Blackheart's cheap, so probably got
It
that.
wasn't a sponsorship. It was thanking people who helped us. And actually, you should be thanking them, because if I didn't reach out to them, you wouldn't have been here. Now, the bad part about that, we probably would have been in a courtroom in probably about 21 days regarding this, because you probably wouldn't spur enough, I would hope, to do all the years of hanging around with me, about some days, you got to go into contracts. And I know you would have been smart enough. I was acting on a lot of emotions on Friday night, which we'll get into it. And I was hoping that you were not going to be associated in any way with Showcase, including the Thursday night pod, but they made it quite clear that due to the contract that we signed with 1776 Studios, that is a joint venture, not associated with Showcase, because we both signed it. We didn't sign it under an LLC or an S Corp or incorporated. It's two individuals with the focus point of being the branding of Showcase Pro Wrestling.
Danny, the first thing we should do is change the name of this podcast, because I don't feel comfortable under a banner that's full of a bunch of whiners and caterers to a bunch of rats online, crittering around, typing away in their little cellars and their basements and stuff about an individual they know nothing about. Second of all, Chris Blackheart, you and I have known each other for over 2 decades. Yeah. And the fact that you want to remove me from your product because I had to put an old man that should be in his house and set him straight, that's just embarrassing. So that's not my problem anymore. That's yours. And we'll get into some details, because I'm not going to speak about anything. I also got my lawyers, and they've also contacted Cena. And I'm sure before the show is over, you'll get a text message regarding that.
Yeah, I mean, they can reach out to Cena, but Cena just part of the booking committee, is not the owner, so...
What?
Give him my number. I would be happy. I'd be happy to do a conference call, Zoom call, Teams call tomorrow. Just give him my number. Happy to have it. But
you'll get your message in due time, and Cena will approach you, and then he'll fill you in on.
No, that is more than fine. But this is not something that should be directed to Cena. Cena wasn't there. He does not have.
That's
control.
Your guy. I mean,
no. And I
you were doing paperwork. You were doing paperwork. He was doing paperwork. So
Well, yeah, no. I mean, Sarge has done a lot of contracts for us between talent and other stuff. Cena's been doing some great work behind the scenes for us. So maybe the question is, I mean, that's the picture right there of Muldoon. What? I don't know. I mean, I was behind the curtain. I didn't see the. I obviously saw what happened at the end, but What happened? Why? Why would you do that?
If anything, he should be thanking me for what happened. He slipped, he fell, and he hit his head against the apron.
Yeah, okay. If that was the case, what was in your hand?
There was nothing in my hand. You saw anything in my hand?
It looked like something shiny when
Did they go over the footage at all?
See around my neck, I carry a lot of
it was. We do have footage, but it's not available as of right now. Reach out to
Yeah,
Justin to put an emergency on it.
How ironic! It's just like in court; they have no proof, but they want to right away throw the book away. But let's get into the podcast, which is what I'm getting paid for here this week, and that's why I'm joining, and especially joining on a tragic week in the world of pro wrestling with the passing of a friend of mine, Sabu Terry Brunk, which I had many battles against all through the mid 2000s, and unfortunately he passed away at the age of 60. So very sad passing. Got to have some time with him just last year when he was up at RCW. Went out to eat. We shared some stories. We shared some spotter stories, and he was set to come back. We were planning on doing an event, a roast for Sabu at RCW Wrestling, and unfortunately that's not going to happen now. But my condolences goes out to all his friends, his family. May he rest in peace. And seems to be something that's happening more often throughout this year with the losing of a lot of the guys in pro wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, with your connection, with your stories, and I'm a firm believer when somebody does pass, a good story, a lot of times or good laughter will help the tears, to say the least. A good remembrance. So as much as it hurts, I think stories of him to keep his legacy alive and going. Definitely a trailblazer that never got, let's say, the full shine of the business that he could have and should have.
Yeah, there was the mainstream wrestling for a long time. He's worked for every major wrestling promotion, but longevity wise, the run that he should have had in the WWE or maybe even WCW, was cut short due through ironically politics and people. So still, Sabu was a legend. He was an innovator of a lot of maneuvers and moves that you see nowadays. Other people taking credit for. Sabu was one of the first ones to do it. There's a book out there that was put out, written by Kenny Casanova. He's written a lot of books, autobiographies of a lot of legends in the world of wrestling. That book is available. If you look at Kenny Casanova's Facebook, all the information is on there. You'll get to see read some stories from Sabu. And, I got in the book a couple of years back. So if you haven't read it, it's a good read, an educational read. Those that are, aspiring to be pro and really taking the business serious in professional wrestling. So.
Yeah, Kenny was a former guest on our podcast, and it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, that was one of the first books that he did. And one of the stories of the book, I guess his uncle, the Sheik, used to make him set up the ring and then break it down every day.
Yes, for 6 months, Sabu used to set up the ring, chop wood, clean around the house, ditch chores, and just set up the ring in the morning and take it down at night. And he never questioned for once why his uncle was making him do that. And eventually, after 6 months, he started training, and the rest is history. But nowadays, if you're not catering and explaining every step of the way to these kids, they get offended, they get hurt, they get butt hurt. And half of them, or maybe majority of the ones that are around now, would have quit if that happened to them nowadays.
Could you imagine if Sabu's mother reached out?
Yeah, and complain or spoke
and said, I can't believe you're making my son break down the ring.
I don't know, because Black probably would have fired the guy training him.
Yeah. So, I mean...
Had you seen be on the, what are you, Alex Raid's little buddy now? I mean, you seem to be on the catering boat.
What are you talking about? I was looking for a photo that I think you would be happy that, and when we get into the taunting, I couldn't find it but I saw it a couple days ago. Alex, his whole side of his face was all scuffed and black from.
Oh, was that my fault too? Or?
No, it wasn't, and again, I'll blame you when it's rightfully so. But yeah, so that was yeah. So we come that it was the boot was good, but
kicked in the face. He should be getting kicked all over his body. I mean, we're not going to get into the type of scum that he is, but he deserves everything that he's getting.
Do you want to tell me Don just tell me, but this is the part that I was originally looking forward to if we were on better terms, is the stories regarding Sabu that you can share that can shed light on his legacy when you wrestled him for WWE.
Well, one of the stories was probably wrestling him with reconstruction of his bicep and having the bicep come out again and twitching and stuff like that. So we had to work around it. All his stories were kind of controversial for this spot here. But a funny story that's not funny, if you were the individual involved in the match, was a story where I actually saved him from choking in the ring because he had projectile vomiting. And a lot of the boys that were around that time, they know about this because it was brought around, especially the boys from like the New York tri-state area and stuff like that. It's one of the main stories on the Sabu book, so I don't want to ruin it. So, go buy the book. Don't be cheap. There's a lot of good reads in there.
Do you want to put the link up there for Kenny?
Yep, I'll put the link in the chat room too.
Yeah, let's put that there because Kenny was a guest here. He's doing some great autobiographies, and I used to tell people I'm not a reader, but I read business books and I read wrestling books.
Oh.
I'm not a fiction guy.
Has a 4.6 star review out of 5.
Yeah,
so a good read. It was released on March of 2019. So go and cop that Sabu, Scars, Silence, and Super Glue, the book biography of Terry Brunk Sabu, done by our friend Kenny Casanova. A lot of interesting stories, and like I said, a lot of the trials and tribulations of him becoming a pro wrestler, including getting shot before he ever started training. He almost lost his life.
You're putting a teaser out there, but you don't want to tell the story?
Teasers are good. I think it was just on the Dark Side of the Ring. Ironically, the Sheets episode came out this Tuesday, and he passed away over the weekend. And he talked about the story on how he went to a party with a friend, and they got into a fight. And he took one of the guys down that were fighting with his friend, and that guy happened to have a gun, put it to his face, and shot right through his cheekbones, and basically his teeth saved him.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He was shot in the face and was in the hospital and barely made it out. But after that, he knew that he had to live out his dream, which was to be a pro wrestler. And that's when he finally convinced the Sheik to take him on the ring and train him. And, little that he know he was doing shows and putting the ring up and down for 6 months.
Paying your dues.
One of the stories I heard on one of the podcasts, I think it was Bradshaw was talking about it, as one of Sabu's first, I'm not sure if it's his first show or his first trip to Japan, his uncle told him, everything I told you not to do, you can do over here.
Yep.
So it was like, that's kind of where he started doing like all the high flying stuff, all the crazy stuff that made him into who he is. But it was just ironic when he was training, his uncle didn't want him to do that stuff. He knew he could do it, but he didn't want him to do it.
We're at that stage now. Everything that, we learned not to do back in the day, everything that we learned to keep it to a minimum is the stuff that will get you booked nowadays. doing a whole bunch of moves, not selling any of those moves, and just doing a circus of moves. You do yours, I do mine, and it's a great 5-star match.
Well, that's a good cheap plug right there. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Showcase Personal Training Center. Every Wednesday when Coach Ken leaves, I ask him, hey, what do you want me to work on? And what do you think he tells me to work on?
Basics.
Foundation, basics, strikes, footworks. And then we throw in selling, registering, not being selfish. So it's if you ever thought about doing it, it's the best thing that you will never ever regret. Even if you, I got an inquiry this week. It was from a dad. His daughter was thinking of training, and she goes, "Man, she's so scared of doing it." And I said, she's 17. We have a couple of, kids who are, graduating, juniors and seniors. I said, come on down. If she ever wanted to do it, it's her lifelong dream. Come on down. We'll talk to her, talk to the guys that are down there, and talk to some of the young kids. And you would be the best father, for it. You're giving her dream. And the fact that, your story is very similar. You started when you were young, but most people don't know they can start that young. Never mind have something so local that they can actually go and train out of.
Well, yeah, the difference between starting young now and starting young when I was starting young is that you wasn't going to get catered. I was in there with a bunch of grown men that didn't want a young 15-year-old kid around. And they were going to beat you up to the point that you would leave, which, in my case, that wasn't going to happen. But nowadays, it's a whole different ballgame. It is welcoming. It is a supportive environment. It is a whole different ballgame. So if you're looking to become a professional wrestler, it's the right time to do it, I guess, at this point. I'm not saying it's going to be easier. I'm just saying that in some ways it is easier.
Well, I think it's easier for some reasons. One, you can send an email, check on social media. Like in our case, it's SP Wrestling or ShowcaseWrestling.com. When we started, one of my biggest hang-ups, again, I mentioned on the show, I couldn't find the place. I couldn't find Kowalski's up in Malton.
Well, wrestling schools, for the most part, were secluded for a reason because they didn't want to be overly exposed to people. They were in dingy places that, in some cases looked abandoned or whatnot. Those were wrestling schools back in the day. So.
Another great wrestling story at the beginning to talk about with Sabu. I was listening to Briscoe and Bradshaw, and they had Snitsky on it. And Snitsky was telling for the first year that he wrestled, he got beat up by I'm not sure if it's Manu or Samu. So
probably Samu.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because Snitsky is 6'4", 270.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit bigger than 6'4".
Yeah, and he goes, I just shut my mouth, I learned, and I got better because all I want to do is learn, and that's what he did. He goes, Samoans were my friend. He goes, I didn't understand everything, but I knew I just shut my mouth and learned. And then eventually what happened, he got signed by the WWE because of everything that he learned.
Well, that's my thing when I tell all new people. Just keep your mouth shut, do what you're told, have fun doing it, and doing it to the very best of your ability. That's my advice to new people.
Yeah.
Ironically, Daniel, keeping your mouth shut nowadays is a lost art.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the fans that buy a ticket to watch the shows know more than the ones that are actually busting their ass going out there to try to do the entertainment and try to get in the ring and wrestle. They're telling you what you should be doing, and they know more than you in a lot. They think they know more than you in a lot of instances. So, different times.
Yeah, speaking of mouths, and I have to remain neutral with you two guys, but it's just a sickening, the amount of people I'm watching all over social media shit talk Don Vega. And I know none of you pussies would ever do that to his face. It's ridiculous. He's going from Showcase Pro Wrestling, this is great, he's this, he's that. But tell him to his face, I dare you. You know what I mean? You won't. You're a bunch of pussies.
That's how it is. That's the new. It's just go online, And in a way, I'm glad because it exposed a lot of feelings that you didn't know about certain people, including people in the business. I've seen people giving thumbs up in the business and different things that were posted up there. Guys that I including helped get bookings and helped along the way, which is great. I mean, I love to see the reality of people come out because that's the reason I am the way that I am. If you don't like it, it's not gonna change. I mean, you could say whatever you gotta say. I'm gonna sleep like a baby at night. I could give two shits what any of these imbeciles that were commenting have to say. You could go around stating a bunch of fucking bullshit. Doesn't affect me. Bottom line is this. Chris Black, speaking of school, and speaking of comments, I got to see some of the comments they were stating about my persona in there. But at the same time, I seen a comment from somebody that's familiar as far as having a relative that used to train under our banner, putting mixed information out there. So I don't know if you want to clarify that. If you want to get into that, I don't know. I mean, I barely know you this week, so I just...
No, I mean, that was... First of all, that comment was totally irrelevant because it had nothing to do with the suspension. There was somebody who was training underneath our banner for about a year. We gave the individual a match. Weren't sure if they were ready for it, and, we gave them the opportunity. But the idea that somebody would not get booked because of their ability is compared to not being booked because they have a disability. And there's a difference between disability and ability. Our main thing has always been when people are training underneath our banner is that you got to make sure that they're safe. They're safe for themselves and they're safe for the people that they're in the ring with. And if for some reason that is questionable, we make adjustments, and which we did. After the fact, when that person felt like they were, stepping away, I sent them a message that they are doing very well. Continue the work. Do not take time off because it's harder to get back in when you take the time off. You have some momentum now. But unfortunately, and this is, I think, the problem too, is people listen to those who they want to listen to instead of those that they should listen to. And that's a problem. As much as we do like some days our friends and family and loved ones, they are not in the pro wrestling business. They don't know what it takes to be in it. They don't have the experience. So they're going to tell you what you want compared to what you should be hearing. And, we have different trainers at the facility and they have different methods. And usually I'm the guy that kind of puts everything together. If somebody is having a rough time training, I'm the guy that is going to give you all the benefits and all the push to continue and keep on going and building. And I tell people the same thing all the time. It is worth it. There's nothing like walking through that curtain in the whole world. Mm-hmm. So
that's for sure.
For you to listen to someone who has no idea about the business because it feels good is a shame. So, and when people put in misinformation, we have people that train for our facility that are, all over like the spectrum, that have learning disabilities, have physical disabilities, from all nationalities, throughout, everything. Right now, probably the last 10 years, we're the most diverse people training ever. And some of the most successful people, and this is reality. One of our most successful students who's had success through Showcase on the independent scene and getting looked at a national company, right? WWE, right? Can be listed as maybe having a disability, but that doesn't hold. And the thing that I think is ironic is when I look back at the individuals from a year, 2 years, 3 years, and some of them even 4 years now, right? They are a better person in and out of the ring because of pro wrestling, which is huge.
Well, speaking of that, when you go and, you have family members that want to go to these shows and feel like it's a little game where they want to go and cheer away because that's the right thing to do. I want to go and applaud you, and I want the coach to put you in the game, and you can have a little batting session even if you suck. Well, newsflash, in pro wrestling, there's only one person that is gonna make it or break it, and that's yourself. So if we're giving you the tools, we're not magicians. We're not miracle workers. We're not Jesus Christ. If you suck, guess what? You suck. We can't give you that recipe to not suck. There's a lot of people that started around the same time that kid started that already have gotten looked at for TV spots. Yeah. Is that our problem, that he's not up to the standards of learning the same way that everybody else is learning? No. What you do is you put on twice as much of the work. You suck it up. You pay your dues. You don't call your mother crying in the back room in the locker room somewhere to get a spot each and every time that you want to put your gear on and play wrestle. That's not the way that it works. And unfortunately, if that makes me a bad guy, I have no problem with that.
So, somebody recently told me is no matter if you're having a good day or bad day and whatever your results are, your hard work will prove it all. So when you're not going to practice 3 days a week, when you're not doing the extra activities that we have, you're not going to shows, that's when you know you're not putting the work in. And when you're not putting the work in, the result shows. Yeah. Wrestling has always been, just like in life, a sacrifice. And if it was easy, everybody could do it.
Yeah, look at me, example. I've been in business 30 years and joined Showcase Pro Wrestling. It took me 3 years to get a championship opportunity, which I cashed in on. So it's about, you got to put your dues in, you got to show up, do what you're told and everything else, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and it's not easy. It just isn't. It is a business. It is a sport. Yeah. It's an individual team sport. You got to put that extra time in. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You are going to want to quit. But wanting to quit and quitting is two different things. And that is the biggest difference.
So, you mean to tell me that if I go text Mama Blackheart right now crying, it's not going to work?
Oh, my mom, you should text her because her first thing on, you missed what I said on earlier, that on Mother's Day, the first thing my mother said is, "What did Donald do?"
Oh, she must be disappointed in you, Chris Blackheart.
And I'm like, well, how did you know it was him? She goes, I read that press release. What did Donald do? And I said, he goes, Mom, let me tell you. And then she was very shocked at what he did to Muldoon. But I'm not going to say any more about the press. Yeah, why don't we get into Taunton? Let's get the results. We have some photos of Muldoon there. We have photos. I sent you photos of Alex Raiden with the big foot in the head. We have some big wins.
This is I guess John's been hanging around with the crybaby sympathetic crew. I mean, the guy's been in the ring for as long as Moses was around Earth. And he's gotten bloodied and beat up before, and now all of a sudden he's complaining for a little cut that he got when he slipped and fell and hit his head on the apron.
All right, we're going to get footage for next week, all right?
Unbelievable.
So, Danny, do you have the results from Taunton?
Yes, I do. 1 second.
Because I can't remember everything. I mean, I can remember one of the big wins of the night.
I just got the card, and I don't know who won what. I know I won my match, and
oh, you want to get into all right? Let's stop backwards, okay?
So, yeah. Go into the results because I know I already won, but we'll run it down.
You didn't even wrestle. We'll get into that.
The results of I'm talking about Backlash here.
Backlash. Oh,
no. Let's get into Taunton, all right? Let's give everyone their due, all right? Let me talk to the big win over there, right? Logan Macchia, Mr. 0-32, big win over the astonished one. Aiden. Huge win. The crowd went banana for that one. Did you see that one, Danny?
No, I was getting ready.
You're getting ready now. Phenomenal, great reception. Kids running around, shaking everybody, hugging everybody. I mean, that was really a true good. It took him again. Not bad. 32 matches to get his first win. Aiden, little cocky, but You know, great future too in that kid, but I guess
It's all eating up guys that are in our same level. Now, if he would have beat a guy like Rambo Godfrey, if he would have beat Brian Starr, if he would have beat Don Vega, that's a reason to celebrate.
it's a small stepping stone. A win's a win.
Yeah.
The kid is still this whole week at training, man. You could just see he was walking a little bit taller, a little bit higher.
I guess so. Moving on. What was the next match?
Boston Dan against Rocky. Picture perfect Rocky.
Picture perfect right now. That
2 out of 3 falls.
you guys want to know a little
That was
story
the
behind the
next- okay.
scenes, right? So poor D-Rex was supposed to wrestle that night. Sunburn, like like there was no tomorrow. Big
What was
blisters
that?
everywhere.
What was that again? Repeat that again. What was the excuse?
So he came back from Florida, right?
Okay.
The plane landed like at 6 o'clock. They got at the venue, right? Sunburn. He had blisters the size of phones, like Lily on his shoulders, from Florida. So that's why those were asking why wasn't D-Rex in a tag match. It was Picture Perfect Rocky versus Boston Dan. Boston Dan, all the credit in the world. Some people don't know this, but Dan is a hard worker. He's a man of the trades. He's a welder. He was ill. He caught something from welding, and he went out there, didn't have a great match, but he literally put us all. He came in second. So Boston Dan, we do wish you well. Hopefully you'll be back coming this weekend.
So, I'm still here. You went through the rundown of that match, and I'm still here shocked. So, we're pulling out of matches for a little sunburn.
Oh man.
Well, the other reason why he didn't have a match is because when he arrived late, and they are a tag team. But guess what? The tag teams were booked that night. There wasn't a third tag team spot, for them. So I think it worked out pretty well. Rocky is a young up talent coming up. Having some single matches pretty good. D-Rex got lucky by not going there. Because I'll be honest with you, if I was an opponent and I knew somebody had a sunburn, you know what you're doing. I'm doing body slams all night. And then picking him up for a couple of chops. Body slams, turnbuckles, anything that he can take a bump on.
What was the third tonight, Daniel?
So the next match was the consistent ones against Damien and Spratt. 2 out of 3 falls.
One half of talented people on the show. I couldn't see that match. I was, wandering around thinking of why the old man wanted me out there. So tell us about that match, because Blackheart, apparently you were watching every match.
I did. People don't know that, but 99.9% of the time I'm at the curtain. Right? I'm watching everything. I'm seeing everything. It's very rare I miss something.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 match. The winners of that match would get an option to do a stipulation, which will be on June 6th in Taunton. Consistent ones, well, they almost won, right?
You tell me watching the match.
I did, but now we have, right? June 6th. Here versus here. Consistent ones versus higher education. Christopher Spratt made the stipulation.
Oh, so now you're letting drunk guys make
No, but that was part of the stipulation.
See, this is why people get hurt, because Blackheart.
No, but I mean, AZ wants to finish the job, man. He shaved Spratt. He shaved down Damien. Why would he not want to go for everything? Damien has a nice locks.
Unbelievable.
So let's get the buzzers going on June 6th.
Then you got next match was Jester against Dr. Williams, Roger Williams.
Who?
Dr. Roger Williams against Jester.
I know who Roger Will. Who?
I think that's one.
Jester.
I think that's one of. He's done a girl on people. He came out with a little tricycle,
Yeah, it was a little
That's
weird.
the perfect candidate to fall, hit his head, and miraculously, start bleeding on his own.
Well, he did not do that. But with that being said, the gesture, I think somebody was starting to like it, but Roger Williams didn't. Roger Williams, 1, 2, 3. Roger Williams got the big win all by himself. No Jay Evans, no Annabelle out with him.
Good for Roger Williams. At least somebody's winning in the showcase.
That's right. You can't read your own match, Danny?
No, next one was Danny Cabral and some other writing I can't read. Faulty Killer, Colton, whatever.
Yeah, Colton. So someone that people don't know that on Colton, he trained at Showcase about 4 months right before COVID. Then when COVID happened, everything shut down. He went back home, which was in New York, was training at Creator Pro. Got a great job offer down in Florida, and he started training down in Florida with was Alistair Black. So he was up for basically about 10 days. He worked with the Woonsocket show and came to Taunton. So good match there. Danny Cabral, singles match. Sean Candido was not in the house. So great match. Good win from Danny Cabral. We won't see the last of Colton though. He's coming back.
Then it was me defending my YouTube World Championship against the former champion Jay Evans and Reverend Moon back in the business again. So
back in the business, yeah, literally back in the business. So that was a surprise. No, Danny, you were defending his 2 former champions. Brother Moon Reverend has not got a rematch. And Jay Evans, you see that he was pissed.
Oh yeah, he's still pissed. He was
pissed, and
he's bellyaching all over the internet.
Very, very confusing for Annabelle.
You know, it's disgusting though. Like that's why I don't have the belt with me today because I was thinking about this. Right, I had to disinfect the thing because look who's had it. Right, you had D-Rex who slept with the belt and God knows what he did. Then you had Reverend Moon. I don't know what he did, whatever the case. But Jay Evans, God knows what he did with that belt too. So that belt and Dr. Roger Williams too. You all know who probably went on with that belt. So that's why it's like, yeah, I can't bring this belt tonight. I got to get it disinfected because, and I got to defend it this Saturday too. But I just think the people who held that belt, the poor belt, man, I tell you, the godless things that probably happened to that thing. So that's why it's not here in the studio tonight. It's being disinfected.
It's a good thing to disinfect everything.
So, Danny, how long have you been champion?
Since last month?
So you 30 days and you haven't cleaned it?
Well, I did here and there, but I mean, I didn't even think of it to the other day. I'm
so,
like, wow, so these people held this belt. And
so whatever they've been doing to it, got on you, Danny. So
man.
You're welcome.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, Jay Evans,
so congratulations, Danny. You did win it back. A lot of confusion right there between that little trio between Annabelle, Brother Moon Revan, Jay Evans, and what do we call Roger Williams? What is he? The doll carrier, the human rocking chair?
That's just some weird shit going on with those guys.
So that one, that's just the I would say the re-beginning of whatever this odd trio is.
I think all three of them just need to get a room and get it over with.
Thing, Chris Blackheart, that you're supposed to be doing as a co-host in this show, and you go and interview Roger Williams and ask him what is his title and position.
Danny was doing phenomenal with some promos. Danny, why don't you do that in Franklin? Why don't you grab some of the interview? Why don't you ask that one? That's a perfect question. You know?
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Get some promos and all that. But yeah, it's coming up here, Franklin. We got that big match.
We'll get into it. So then the main event. You want to tell everyone what the main event was supposed to be?
Well, Rambo and Don Vega against Big Matt Thompson and Alex Rated.
That's what it was supposed to be. But I made an announcement that Don Vega was suspended from Showcase Pro Wrestling. He was removed from the building, removed from the match. We modified the match to be a singles match between Alex and Rambo Godfrey.
Yep. What a way to try to screw Rambo over.
No.
What?
I got pissed from what you did.
The good always prevails.
Well,
I just earlier today. So.
Well, I don't know if you saw. I'm sure Rambo was complaining on the ride home, but We were short of refs Friday night. We had one ref who was extremely tired from roughing all the matches. I mean, executive call to do a match modification of the official, and a new certification for a referee came about. Some people like to know him as Ref Thompson.
Now you got a guy that's never been a referee in his life.
I thought he was pretty good. And Rambo's face, now I know you didn't see it, but everyone else did. Rambo's face dropped like he saw a ghost. But at the end of it, you see the picture of Alex? Put it up there.
That's a great picture right there.
So
that's
at the end, in true fashion,
and who did that? Who did that?
That you would think that was Rambo, but that was some friction between Thompson and Rambo. Thompson went to throw a boot, went to hit Rambo, which would have been great because then he would have done the 1, 2, 3. But Alex took big foot in the head. It looked like he. Actually. Nah, I was thinking it looks like an improvement, but no, that's a big mush in the side of the head. So, still, you showcase personal heavyweight champion Rambo Godfrey.
I've been on the receiving end of Matt Thompson's kicks many times.
Are you shocked about this? Are you anybody surprised about this? Is there any big news behind this? I mean, these two guys are idiots. This is what I've been saying all along. You got a loser that can't win a match anytime he's given a title shot. And then you got some rat that shows up at the right moment to take advantage of something he should have never been a part of. You expect anything less from these two idiots? I mean, who are we playing? We're playing with little kids? I mean, the guys are stupid. They'll never win. They'll never get to beat guys like Rambo Godfrey and myself.
I am glad that's how you think, and that night, Rambo retained. That's all that I can say.
You know, I mean, guys could be good in the ring. The guys could do 1 or 2 moves, but they might be good, but they're not better than Rambo Godfrey and myself.
Do you want to get into the quick Backlash results, which
we all do?
Yeah, let's go on a Backlash,
all
something
right.
that excites me other than speaking about these useless morons.
All right, so the results here is United States champion Jacob Fatu defeated LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest in the Fatal 4-Way. And who did I pick here? I picked Drew. You both guys picked Fatu.
Ooh, that's one for me.
So one for you guys. And then next we had...
Danny.
What's that?
So 0 for Danny.
Yep, 0 for me. Then the Women's Intercontinental Championship, champion Lyra Valkyrie defeated Becky Lynch.
Yep, 1 for me, 0 for two of you guys.
Yep. Me and Blackheart picked Becky, and
that was a tough one.
then we got Intercontinental Champion Dominic Mysterio defeated Penta, and I think all 3 of us picked Dom.
Oh, that's 2.
I think Dominic's a good champion, man. He's a good. And then Gunther defeated Pat McAfee in a submission, and then we all picked Gunther, all 3 of us. And then we had undisputed WWE champion John Cena defeated Randy Orton, and I lost that one. You and Chris here picked Cena.
Not bad.
And that was about it. So it looks like Don won this. Yeah.
Oh, that was close.
Clean sweep, Don. Actually, Don picked every match.
Oh, that's what I mean.
So
I may not like him, but he knows pro wrestling.
We definitely skipped through a good part. They saw the debut of a guy that a lot of people were wondering if he was coming into the WWE. He himself, a few weeks back, stated that he was retiring from wrestling. Jeff Cobb made his official WWE debut. And, again, shows the example of some of the people that are experts on the internet. Oh, who is this guy? Who is this T-Moon Rhino? Who is this guy? I mean, if you had some knowledge other than watching your little Monday Night Raw and your little SmackDown on Friday night, and you actually watch pro wrestling, you would know that this guy's been killing it for years all over the world, competing for New Japan, Lucha Underground, and everywhere that's relevant in professional wrestling. He's the real deal. And I think, with Fatu and this latest edition of Jeff, I mean, Solo definitely has to step his game up.
Speaking of the real deal, you want to go over when...
Bring it up. Bringing a real deal's coming up. I believe he is still loose in Texas, but he's coming back. Can you picture that? I can picture him in Texas being loose, right? I think like the Tasmanian devil going all over the place through Texas. But Joel, he'll be back in the area. It looks like June 6th and 7th. Is that correct?
Yep.
So he's back in a matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah, just about 2 weeks.
Well, the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th of June.
So the 6th, everybody has to go to Taunton to see the hair versus hair match. Then they can go and see the real deal the following weekend.
So it's the Keeping It Real comedy tour.
Yep, so keeping it real.
And we're supposed to cover that. Good segue there. Daniel just stood looking at the post. I can't see the post, so I can't talk about it. But if you go to Real Deal Fitness and Conditioning, the Facebook page of the Real Deal Joel Davis, you'll get to see all his upcoming dates on his tour, dates in Texas, dates back in the Northeast, and you'll get the links for those comedy events and all the info on his Facebook page, Real Deal Fitness and Conditioning.
I like to see find out from Joel if he's driving back, taking the train, the preferred method of Dan Badanja, or is he flying? Because I like to see videos of the Real Deal going through TSA.
It's the Real Deal Joe Davis. He's flying a plane. He's not doing trains for 18 hours, unfortunately, then. He's not doing car rides for a day and a half. The Real Deal's flying, flying, son of a gun. So he's definitely not sitting in a train for 18 hours.
Danny, do you have any comments? Any comments in the chat room?
Yep. Heather is rooting for Jay Evans, and he's amazing talent. Yeah, it's like Jay Evans, even though we're on opposite sides of the fence right now. But Jay Evans is a great talent, and you will be seeing a lot of him because she was asking, she wants to see more of Jay Evans. But Jay Evans will be at the next show and the shows after that. So.
Any other good comments?
And got Cowboy Willie wins the next show, which is Saturday, and he said he's going to be joining back up with the training. And who else here? It's about it, and a lot of comments about Jay Evans from Heather. And she said, can we get Jay Evans, Annabelle, and Dr. Williams on the podcast? That'd be interesting to get these freaks in there.
I'm open to it. I mean, we had Jay Evans in here a while ago on a self-inspirational story, so I'm open to get all three of them together. We'll make an invitation and see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, you got room for a threesome in there. You could be in the middle, Chris Blackheart.
No.
The championship coach is over here.
Yeah, championship coach.
Yeah, you could go sit on the title couch, Chris Blackheart.
Yeah.
And yes, we gotta clear stuff. We gotta clear the air when we make jokes now. Apparently nowadays, title couch was something that was put out there and was clarified by Mr. Eugenio when he was a guest on the show maybe a year ago now.
Yeah.
Guest on the show, and he clarified that. And, I can tell you firsthand, I probably held every title at Yankee Pro Wrestling at one point. I never sat on those title couches.
Yeah, me either. I knew that was a bunch of bullshit because I held several titles there myself. We started with them wrestling for like 8 years, and I've never once been in no title coach.
Oh, anyone could say anything just to get attention. Doesn't mean that it's true. Was Blackheart awfully quiet there?
No, I'm looking to a wrap up, and I have to do a disclosure that on behalf of Showcase Pro Wrestling, we are all looking for everybody to join us for this Saturday night and Franklin with the bell time of 7:07. Tickets still are available at showcaseperson.com.
Yep. So anybody from the general public could buy tickets, right?
Anyone from the general public can buy tickets. Showcaseperson.com. We'll have tickets available at the door too, which typically you can go and see Kathy and Jess are at the door.
Well, if somebody already had purchased their tickets online, they could just, show their ticket and just walk in, right?
Yes, and actually a good point there that if some reason you see stuff on social media that people are selling tickets, then they can't go to the show. That is a scam. Please don't reach out to them. The only tickets you can get online at any time is directly at showcaseprowrestling.com. So any questions with that, email promoter at Showcase Pro Wrestling or all of the social media at SP Wrestling, which includes Twitter, TikTok, which have been very bad at posting videos, but Instagram and obviously on Facebook. Danny, take your meds.
Somebody's trying to call you right now, Daniel?
No, that's his med for medication. Him and Joe Biden takes them at the same time before they go to bed.
And since you're getting in the plugs, before we leave, May 30th, if you have it on there close by, Daniel, May 30th, Royal Crown Wrestling making their debut at the Bangor in Portsmouth, New Hampshire for Cold Case. Tickets are available at RCW Live for that event, and that is May 30th, 7 p.m. bell time, RCW Live. For the tickets, Cold Case in the Bangor in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, May 30th, 7 p.m. bell time for that event. There are some tickets still available for that one. A lot of great matches, a lot of debuts on that night. So if you're in New Hampshire, if you're in upper Boston area, don't miss Cold Case, May 30th in New Hampshire, RCW Live for all the info on.
Victor Benjamin's gonna be there. That's pretty good. So yeah, that's about it, man. And
That's the sign off now. Oh, it's not good. All right, so I did my sign off on behalf again of Showcase Pro Wrestling, not affiliated with anything with Don Vega, one half of the podcast team of the 1776 studio. I am Chris Blackheart, Dan Badandi. I'll let the third individual sign off for himself.
Yep, it was pretty boring, that outro, Chris Blackheart, like usual, But, yep, for the podcast, we're going to be revamping this, Daniel. At SP Wrestling for now.
No, that's not how we had it, Danny. The paperwork is under the Showcase Pod.
Showcase Pod, Showcase Pro Wrestling, unfortunately, on YouTube. But, for now, for this week, we had Chris Blackheart, catering service. We had Danny Badon. We have Don Vega, that is now a paying customer, Chris Blackheart.
What are you talking about? You're not here.
Yeah, I'll give you the homework for that one. A paying customer, because, when you fire somebody, doesn't mean that they're banned from a venue if they buy a ticket. So with that being said,
what?
I will see you Saturday night in Franklin. Have a great night.